I sing pretty good in the shower, but this doesn't look good in the mosquito. I may take a pass on that. I'm thankful my wife is here. She's had an opportunity to travel around the world with me. And in my younger days, I was a national president of the United States Junior Chamber, and we would travel around the world talking about, guess what, free enterprise and balanced budget amendments with the Reagan administration. And Jennifer was always there to make sure the tie was straight and, and had all the right pieces on. And I went to Japan one time, and I had to leave her home. And in fact, I don't think you wanted to go on that trip. And I got a chance to meet the Crown Prince, and I was looking forward to it. You know, they do this little thing with your business card, and you know, a little courtesy, and it was a long flight. It was early in the morning, and we were getting up, and I had several of my vice presidents with me, national vice presidents, who I brought with me. And when the Crown Prince came by, and I looked, I shook his hand, and then I leaned down, and I had one brown shoe and one black shoe. And I thought, where is my wife when I really need her? So now whenever I come up to a podium, I don't worry about singing so much, or whether I have a Speedo, I worry about, well, whether I got the right color shoes on. So in this case, I did. To our good friend that we've now met from California, Sonia, my daughters and my wife went to Simi Valley in December. I felt I needed a rejuvenation before session started, so we went to see my favorite president's place, and we had a great time. And for those who haven't heard, I've been often mistaken in as picturesque as Karl Rove might be. And while at our dear president's grave paying my respects, we had a gentleman came up. I actually had my American Patriot jacket on that my son got me from Mr. O'Reilly. And he came up to me and he says, I know you're Karl Rove, I know you are. Insisting on a photo at the Reagan gravesite with Karl Rove, and finally I just gave in, and his wife said, he was dying to meet you, and I'm like, I hope not. So I think what I'm going to do when we get closer to November, I'm going to bring a little whiteboard with me, and we're going to keep score that way. I was so excited to get a chance to speak to this very special group, because we have a great story to tell. I'm one of the few left at the legislature who was actually there during the Napolitano years. And those in the audience who were there with me know how wonderful that experience was. And we had 6 years that it's taken us a while to prepare. And I think we got the ship working in the right way. So let me give you a sense of what the House looks like. You have 40 Republicans out of 60. Not bad, ladies. Thank you very much. And let me tell you who those people are, because I'm real proud of them. Out of 40, 4 members are retiring or going off to the Senate or where they might go. 4. That's the senior class. There are only 2 in the junior class. Doing the math? Every one of those people in the freshman and sophomore class were elected in 08 and 010 because of your help. Every one of them. Let me tell you what happened because of what you did. Because you're not going to hear the press tell you this, obviously. We are now looking at 3 years of balanced budgets. 3 years of balanced budgets. No gimmicks. No gimmicks. Paid down debt. We didn't pay the buildings off. It really bothers me. I know it bothers Secretary Bennett. But you know what? We do what you do. We sit around in our meetings and we review stuff. We multi-year budget. We talk about debt. We look at what the best debt is to pay off first. So that's a smart business thing to do. It just wasn't the buildings yet. Got a pretty dang good interest rate. So that's why that's not paid off. But we're paying down the debt. We put $450 million in the reserves in the savings account so that we don't need to go ahead and extend the sales tax next week. We now, because of 2 jobs bills that were passed in the state legislature, we cut your taxes. Remember, the president says you can't do that. We cut your taxes, and we are now recognized as the #1 business startup state in the country. #7th in America in job growth alone. We were right. We were right because we cut government by 30%. And they said the economy would collapse. The only thing that's collapsing our economy in our state budget is because of the debt that we incurred in the 6 years prior to the Republican Party sending conservatives to the legislature. The debt service alone is our 6th highest line item in our budget. $350 million a year, a third of what the sales tax, the 1-cent sales tax pays for, a third. But what's bigger? What's really bigger? You know, we're already a right-to-work state. You know, Wisconsin really didn't have anything on us. Although, was that a victory for America? That wasn't enough for us. Because of your help, we sent a secret ballot initiative to, you remember? You know, we kind of forget about some of the things we've already done. We passed a secret ballot initiative that says unions can't start a union in an office without having a secret ballot done, which is what they were trying to do. Remember a marriage amendment, a little thing called the marriage amendment in Arizona? Something that Barack Obama has really come to grips with now and doesn't like. Of course, he didn't say that a few years ago, did he? We passed, besides that, we passed pension reform last year, pension reform, our personnel reform this year, and on top of all of that, we now have a consolidated election process. All of those things are pushing back on government unions, all in Arizona, all ahead of the nation. Most successful, the most successful, bar none, pro-life legislature in the history of the state of Arizona. The most successful. So where does this take us? This takes us to that small, that new group, those new young people who are there today. And where do we have to go? Well, we knew, because you helped us here 2 years ago, in 2010, because I commonly refer to that as the playoffs. That was the playoffs. We knew we had to take back the House. We knew we had to do that, or the president probably would have been able to pass a little bit more of the goofy stuff that he does by executive order. We knew we had to take the House. That was just the playoffs. We're here at the World Series now. And I will tell you that we have some weapons that we can use. And of course, we know we're running against the Democrats and the media. I mean, it's just a fight we've become accustomed to being a part of. And that's okay. Because it's time to move on to 2012 and take our victories and move on to the next pieces. And those pieces are fighting back on an independent redistricting commission that robbed the Arizona voter of their right to for a change, because I basically get sued every week down there at the Capitol. For a change, it was time for us to sue somebody else. So we filed in federal court on the congressional maps last week. Constituted a Article 1, Section 4 of the United States Constitution that says that it's the elected body who will make the determination about where our congressional seats go. And the IRC stole that from Arizona. They stole what we told them we wanted them to do. And so we are now filed in federal court. And I'm thankful to the President of the Senate, my own seatmate, Steve Pierce, who has joined me in that effort. So we're moving forward on some of these fights. But I talked about weapons in hand. This redistricting commission did its damage. We're gonna have a fight. And those that are running for office know what I'm talking about. We're gonna have a fight where we're going. And we can't win without you. We can't. And it's just that simple. You know, and I think a lot of us are a little tired of the war on women. I am. If you look at what the Obama administration did in Obamacare, was in 2009, they came out and they decided that we didn't have to pay, we didn't have to include mammograms in our health care act. Do you remember? And until you folks started screaming and carrying on, you weren't going to fix it. You just wasn't. Well, they went ahead and put it back because they were a little afraid of it. But if you remember just a few months ago, they decided that they could attack men. now prostate exams, they don't think they're necessary either. Now I'm in the health insurance business because I have a small employee benefit company, and part of the thing we've been working on for 20 years plus was to get insurance companies and businesses to understand the value of paying for wellness. We've made it this far, and look what's happened. The rate for recovery from cancer, it's working. So the one thing that's working, he makes sure it goes away in Obamacare. Well, I have 3 daughters, and I've got 2 sons. My wife, they don't think I've got a war on women. They think the president is a war on women. And they believe, just like I do, that it's you got to work hard in life. Just like my daughter just graduated, she's an RN. So maybe send in your daughter my daughter's resume, all right? You know, and every one of them works. In fact, Laura's out there on her roller skates tonight in Sonic and Chino Valley because she wants to pay to go to college. And that's what we are all about. We're about freedom. Where are we going to take ourselves? So the Democrats, because you know they want to spend money, have always voted with every Napolitano budget there was. Every one. But I even understand why they can't vote when you cut budgets. I get it. It's not in their makeup. It's not in this president's makeup either. But you would think that when the time came to invest back in Arizona, that they would have voted with investing some of that money. Let me tell you what the media is not going to tell you. You already heard about what Obamacare doesn't want to cover. Federal government cut $40 million out of the poorest of the poor in Arizona on TANF money. The poorest of the poor, the ones that many of us volunteer to help through our local organizations. You know, those are the people who need a lift to get to the doctor's office. Many may be veterans. $40 million. Republicans put it back because we know there's an investment in humanity for the people who are the poorest of the poor and through no fault of their own. You know, we have seriously mental ill problems in the state of Arizona. We had to cut it when times were bad. But we fixed it. We put money back where it had to go in our neighborhood communities. Every Democrat voted no. Every Democrat voted no. We need to build a medical school in downtown Phoenix so that we can raise our own children here. They can go to medical school here. We can provide doctors in our hospitals here. Every single Democrat in the state of Arizona legislature voted no. Every one. We put back $100 million in K-3 education over the next 3 years, $45 million in university parity for NAU and university and ASU as well, to have parity in education in the state of Arizona. We put it back and invested in our jobs program. And every single Democrat in the state legislature voted no. Every one. It should come as no surprise to you that their priority is not investing. Their priority is growing government and banking their votes. Because if their priority was taking care of Arizona, they had a golden opportunity to do that. And we asked them to participate, and they said no. We bought police cars for our DPS officers to protect our citizens. Every single Democrat in the state of Arizona's legislature voted no. Everyone. So you shouldn't be surprised to hear today that they're cheering over an amnesty program, because that's all it is. This governor and this legislature have led the country, all these new young people in pushing back on states' rights. And you know, when I go back to some of these meetings, in whether it be the League of Cities or ALEC or everything, wherever we go around the country, everyone wants to be the Speaker of the House of the Arizona legislature. Every one of them, because they know we are the most conservative legislature in the nation. And now, we've proven it, we're leading in job growth. Every one. It only happens because of you. So what I wanted to ask you tonight is to help me. Because I agree with Secretary Bennett. We always agree. I mean, I ran his campaign. Didn't agree with me all the time, but most of the time. to share with you that our party is not as prepared for this fight as you are. The women of Arizona, this group, they're just not. I spoke to them 2 weeks ago. I invite the district chairman down. They're good, well-meaning people. They're spread out. You organize. And you know what? You know what one of these are. You know what one of these are. And there's a reason that the Democrats' voting registration is going down and ours is going up. It's because of you. Because you know how to fill these out. And you're the ones that know what I'm about to ask you for. You know that we have neighbors, we have family, and they want a future too. And a lot of them don't vote. A lot of them don't vote. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the World Series. There is a line in the sand this time around. I don't personally believe we get a second bite at this apple. And I'm going to tell you, and my wife will tell you, that I am relentlessly traveling the state talking about what I just told you tonight. Because you know how the polls are. 4 out of 10, 2 out of 5 think this president does a good job. You know that. 40% think he does a good job. We're fighting for that one person, that one person, that one star on the flag in every neighborhood, on every street we go to. That's what this boils down to. That's what it's going to boil down to in Ohio, North Carolina, and Virginia, and Florida. You know the states. But here in Arizona, despite what that president has done, the members of the legislature, these good and young and decent, hardworking people, performed. And I tip my hat to them because they've earned your respect. Because they did what they said they were going to do. So they're going to need your help too. This is our weapon. We need to get more folks. You know we do. And I know that you folks have been leading the charge. And it bothers me to keep going in the same well and asking for the same people, time and time again, to be there for us. But you also are the ones who know what's at stake. You know it's for our children and our grandchildren. You believe, like I do, that this nation needs to make a right-hand turn very quickly. Now, Secretary Bennett and I have had a great opportunity to introduce Governor Romney around this state, sit down and get to know him and speak for him and introduce him. And this also is a good and decent person. This also is a person who loves this country. This is not a person who would roll up our Constitution and throw it in the trash can like our president did today. And it's sad because, you know, I have never met and never felt that we had ever before a president in the White House who really didn't care about our nation. And I feel that right now. And my children feel that way. You know, even when we lose, don't we always want our state and our nation to do well? We always cheer them on at the end. Go, let's give them a chance, let's try. The other side doesn't think that way. The other side doesn't. If they thought that way, what would be going on today, instead of declaring amnesty, or fighting over Bain Capital, or talking about gay marriage, or having the attack on women, you would have been out there creating jobs like Arizona did by cutting government, cutting taxes, and bringing our young people up with a good education so they can move forward in the future. And that's what we've done. So the reason I wanted to be here, more importantly than anything else tonight, was to say thank you for all you've done. I have a lot of friends in the room who I've known for a long time. This is the big one. We take no prisoners this time out. I know I certainly won't be. So we need your help. When you leave here, when you go back to your groups back home, if you don't have enough of these to hand out, please go get a bunch of them. I know a Secretary of State who's got boxes of them in his office. I'd be happy to get them to you. So I'm here to say thank you. I'm here to make sure you know how much I appreciate the legislators that you have sent to the state capitol and what they've meant to all of us. And I look forward forward to seeing you on the campaign trail. Thank you very much.